Hello, guys. Welcome back. It's a podcast time with Bushcraft. And this is one of those life stories that I am going to tell once more. This I remember pretty clearly. Not sure my age or anything like that. Most of the time, I kind of guess it at the age I was. Sometimes I remember exactly the days and all this stuff, but sometimes it kind of blurs in together. But this is a story about when I started my own business. Like I said, I was very young, and we were traveling. It was me, my dad, stepmom at the time, and her two boys. And I was the youngest of all three of the boys. And my dad had a stand that he would sell jewelry and novelty stuff. And they pulled behind a really small trailer. And most of the time, I slept in the back seat of the truck. It was almost like a station wagon SUV type thing. Now, mind you, this was in the 80s, so I believe it was an International. I'm not sure. But that was my bedroom. Everything was in that back seat. Everybody else slept in the camper, the trailer. And we were in Upper California. We were traveling down, and our truck broke down, and we pulled into a flea market and rented a spot to set up and sell jewelry and novelties and that type of stuff until we got enough money to get the vehicle fixed. Well, most of the time I took to exploring the area. We were real close to the beach, and I would watch people fish from the beach. That's when I first started looking at the big poles that they would use to fish on the beach. Really big poles that would use their whole body to sling this thing way out as far as they could. I'd watch some people catch little fish and some really big fish, some fish that I would never know what you would call them. And that was my entertainment for the day. Till it was nighttime, we got to go, and it's time to go home. Then I would pass out in my back seat. Well, one day at the beach, I noticed a guy having a lot of trouble with his pole. He ended up what they call a rat's nest, where his reel back reeled and all the line came out in a big mess. He was cussing, screaming madly about his mess that he had made, and got mad and threw his pole into the water. I waited a few minutes to see what he was going to do, and sure enough, he picked up his little canvas seat that he was sitting on, his bucket of what fish he did catch, his tackle box, and off he went. So that gave me the idea. I'm going in the water looking for this pole. Maybe I can fix it and I can fish myself. Well, I'm out there, and this is close to probably November-ish in California, but yet the upper northern part of California is quite cold at this time. And I'm running out there and going underwater looking for this pole. The waves keep hitting me, knocking me back. I am determined to get this pole. And I reached down with my feet and felt something under the water. I dove down, grabbed the pole, and off I was. I sat there on the beach, shivering like crazy, but my mind was set to get this fishing pole fixed. And sure enough, after hours of untangling and messing with this, finally got it fixed and decided to try to fish myself. That didn't go so well. Wasn't experienced in these open-faced deep sea. I guess it wasn't a deep sea, but you know, those types of reels. So I ended up going home with my new pole. Well, the next day, I decided to walk around the flea market and try to see if I could sell this pole, because I didn't know how to use it at the time. As I'm going by asking people, had some good offers. There was one guy that was selling nothing but fishing gear, and he offered me a good bit of money, but yet I held off. I came to this one guy that had boxes and boxes of things that he didn't, display or anything. He just had them in boxes. And I asked him if he was looking to buy a fishing pole. He then said, "I'll tell you what, I'll give you my whole setup for that fishing pole." And I thought at the time this was a great deal. Awesome deal. I could make some money. I could set up my own little space next to my dad's place. Well, turns out I traded him. There must have been at least 20, 25 boxes of just junk. There was all kinds of stuff in there. Glasses, cookware, shoes, books, you name it. There was just about odds and ends of everything. As I'm carrying these boxes over 1, 2 at a time, setting them up in front of my, the back of my dad's trailer, he's asking me, "What is all this?" And I told him I traded my fishing pole for this guy's, all of his stuff from his, the flea market that he set up. "And what are you going to do with all this junk?" And I said, "I'll tell you later." And I went to go back and get more of these boxes, carrying back over. Took me like half an hour, 45 minutes round trip back and forth. And I finally got it all set up over there. Got them stacked up to where I could go through them, look and see what I had. Just then, a customer walking by, asked me how much I wanted for this odd-shaped pitcher. It looked like something that you would put lemonade or Kool-Aid or something like that. And I said $2. I didn't know the worth of this thing. He gave me the $2. I said, well, this is quite easy. So there was an empty rental spot next to my dad's setup. So I put down a blanket and started taking the stuff out of some of the boxes to where I could display them more easily, and went and put what I thought were the better items of these boxes. And I set the rest of the boxes along the side and opened them up so people could look inside them. Well, 12 o'clock came by and the person asked if I had my money for my rental, my flea market spot. And I asked how much was it, and they said $15. I didn't quite have $15, and I told the lady, I said, could you come back a little bit later and I'll sure to have the $15. Sure enough, 2 o'clock came and I paid her the $15. Well, I ended up within a week's time doubling my profits. I would go to the people who would set up at this flea market and buy boxes of their stuff. Because they're usually, if you go to these flea markets, they always have these boxes of things that they can't sell. So they always put them in a box. So I would go up and say, I'll give you 50 cents for everything in that box. Sometimes they'd say yes. Sometimes they say no. They'd give me a higher price or something like that. But eventually, I did end up renting 2 spots. That's how much merchandise I had accumulated within a week to 2 weeks that I was there. I ended up buying myself my own tent that I lived in while we were there at the flea market. We ended up living there for at least 3 months. I made all the money for myself. I got to go grocery shopping. I'd go out to eat when I wanted to. If I didn't want to set up one day, if it was raining or something, I would cover everything up with plastic and go having an adventure for the day, which was pretty good. I did make quite a bit of money until my dad and his wife, my stepmother, got into an argument, and he ended up leaving. He left her, the trailer, the truck, and everything there, which I did go with him. I packed my tent up in my little backpack, which I had my clothes and all my belongings, and left my merchandise there. We ended up hitchhiking. We hitchhiked on the 101. If you're familiar with the routes of California, that is the scenic route. It's also known as Highway 1, I do believe. Some of the most beautiful at that time. I don't know what it looks like now, but at that time it was most beautiful coast, California. We made it all the way down to my family's, or my dad's aunt, I do believe, or my dad's sister. I can't remember which one it was, in Pomona, California. But that is another story. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of my history. I don't know what story I will tell next time, but Hope you enjoy them. And like always, God bless.